This is going to be the base of my chair holder. Before I get started welding, I've just marked where this cross piece goes, and I'm just going to take a flap disc and I'm going to knock the mill scale off, and that way I can get a a nicer looking weld and a better weld. This is not structural, but you can see how nasty this stuff is. So you can see how it's shiny right here, dull right here, and then I didn't get crazy with it, super simple. This actually came off really easy. Sometimes you really have to get on it to get the mill scale off. There's chemicals you can use. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, okay, let's get this base welded up. Wire speed is a little fast. Let's turn this loud machine off here, 'cause I'm done for tonight. Oh. Alright, that wire is a little fast because it's just laying on there real fat. But anyways, nothing real pretty. It's just some old dirty MIG welding. Let's see what I got right here. Anyways, here's my base. So I think my battery died. As I'm fixing to weld this leg on right here, I just did the same thing. Took a flap disc, I just knocked the mill scale off and then just went around the edge here. Not perfect. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. Just real quickly, again, this is not anything structural. This is just something we're slapping together for my basement. Well, hopefully you can hear me over this welder that's running. Now obviously this little baby magnet is not strong enough to hold this at a 90-degree angle, but all I'm really using it for, I'm going to take a framing square and check this. It doesn't have to be perfect anyway, but I'm really just using it to make sure it doesn't fall over. So the wire speed's still a little high, but it's good enough for what we're going to do. I just got this one last bead to run here. So there's that one. This is 2x2, nothing specific. I'm just 2x2. This is 1.5 by 1.5 inches. These are both, I want to say 11 gauge. It doesn't really matter. It's actually a lot heavier than it needs to be. You can see the gap here. And we'll be able to weld that up no problem. You know, nice fat bead. We'll weld it to the bottom. There's no reason to cap that. I mean, if I was, you know, I don't even know that I'm going to cap any of these ends. Maybe before I paint it. I don't know. I really don't know that I want to spend the time on it. And I think on these ends, I may end up with a little piece sticking up. What I will do is take a flap disc before I paint this thing and knock any burrs, you know, just break all these edges like I like to do with everything, even wood, metal, you know, everything I do. I'll just break all the edges so that, you know, there's nothing, no sharp edges anywhere. So, all right, let's get this top welded on here. Maybe you can see this, so you can see where how I got it tacked on here. The lighting's not the best, but then we're just going to just throw a super fat bead on here and fill that gap. Now let's take these out of here. My holes got a little big. My drill press is a cheap piece of junk, and so that hole saw was walking a little bit, you know, wobbling. But you know, that's nothing we can't weld up. We're pretty good at filling big gaps. See, I got a lot of stick out right here. Sometimes I'll snip it depending on, you know, if I'm tacking or what I'm doing. But like with this, I just shove it down in here to where I want it and then just light it up and you know, rock and roll with it. There's a little bit of a glare. I have a welding shield, a welding lens on here, so but as it starts to get really, really hot, it wants to all just fall down in there, so I have to stop and let the metal cool, let the metal cool down, and then I can light back up. Look at all that stick out. So like I said, sometimes I'll snip it. I'm just going to stick this down here where I want it and light it up. From welding the other side, this metal has already gotten real hot. It's a lot of heat in it, and plus that's a good 1/4 inch gap right here that I'm trying to just fill in. Realistically, I could have just welded these two sides and not even worrying about that. Well, I've been sitting here talking into the camera the whole time while I was welding the bottom sides up, and then I just realized when I went to stop the recording, it wasn't recording at all. So anyways, we got this little guy welded on. This is way overkill for what we're trying to do, but you know, I mean, MIG welding is like caulking something. You just pull the trigger and you just you just start laying it down, you know. All right, we got our bars welded on here. A couple of the welds are a little goopy. The gaps were pretty big, so we had to keep stopping and starting, and I was trying to jump around, just not put too much heat in one spot. I'm gonna tack the casters on because now that now that I'm looking at it, I may need to make this base a little bit longer here. But I'm gonna tack the casters on. I'm gonna try to find something to wipe this thing down to get a lot of this just this black mill scale and oil and all this crap off of here, so that I can run it down to my basement, throw a few chairs on it, and just kind of see, you know, before I get any further, what I need to do with it. So this is all we're going to do with the casters. Just two little short beads here. That way, if this thing ends up top heavy, I need to make the base bigger, or I, you know, don't like this, want casters for something else, whatever. I'm not going to weld the crap out of these. You know, I could just take a cutting wheel, you know, and just zip through these with a grinder, get them off real easy. I just wiped it down with some paint thinner. So I wiped it down. I took it down to my basement. I think the only thing I'm going to add to it is just some little ends here, just maybe, I don't know, an inch or so up from the top. Everything sits on here fine, and it doesn't seem like it wants to slide off at all. But I may have a few bags, or I'm building this for chairs, but I could possibly hang one or two other little things, you know, just throw them up here on the ends, and it will just keep it from sliding off. I make a lot of brackets and arms out of this pipe, and normally what I'll do is I'll miter the corner and then take another short piece for the vertical, so that everything is the same. But I'm just going to take a piece of this 1/2 inch round rod and just weld it on just like that, and that'll be good enough for what we're doing in the basement. Let me show you what I got here. Hopefully this shows up good. I've got all 4 of my ends on here. And I think one last thing I'm going to do is I am going to cap these ends here. I'm not going to worry about the ones down here at the bottom. But I am going to cap these just to make this whole top piece look a little cleaner and nicer, and then I don't have to worry about all the burrs on the inside trying to clean them up. So I've just got a little piece of scrap. I saved, you know, this was a piece of angle iron that was notched out for something, and I always save stuff like this because it's great for capping pipe. It's great for capping you know, your square tube. You know, it's just great for stuff like that. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to tack it on, and then I'm going to take my angle grinder and then cut it. So there it is. Well, the lighting is horrible here, isn't it? Alright, so that's a glare from alright, so here it is, and it's a little bit smaller. What this does is gives me a nice spot to put all that wire into, so that when I knock it down with the flap wheel, it's not so I don't have so much to grind off of there, you know. Show you what this thing looks like here. So here's the weld. You know, it's a little clumpy because with the thinner material here, which, you know, I didn't turn the welder down, so you just keep bumping it. You just, you know, you light it up and let the red die out, then you light up again and let the red die down, and you light up again, and you just kind of, you know, whatever. There's no reason to keep messing with the welder on stuff like this, you know. You just, it is what it is. But anyways, this is what I'm doing just for the cap here. You see how it starts out, and I'm just taking my flap disc, you know, and just making it nice and pretty. Anyways, and then I'm going to clean this bottom side up, and I got a tool that I'll show you for this where I can knock the edges off of this. So I got my ends cleaned up. I got all these edges knocked down here except for the tops. Now what I like to use on you know, bolts that you cut off and threaded rod and is this guy right here. But I just realized that my cordless and my corded drill are both in the house. So I'm just going to grab a flap disc and knock these down. But I just wanted to, this thing's pretty awesome right here. Like it knocks, you know, if you cut a bolt off or something, you just hit it with this and then you can thread a nut right on there. Works really good. I used to use this guy a lot, not so much anymore. Used to cut a lot of all thread, you know, threaded rod. I call it all thread. But I've got all these cleaned up, you know, the edges cleaned up. You know what I didn't do is the inside, but I'll hit that real quick. I've got some little deburring tools that I can put in my cordless drill, but my cordless drill is down there at the house, and I don't feel like walking down there. I mean, it took me just a second with this big flat metal file, you know, just to it just took me a minute with this metal file just to go around and knock all the sharp edges off. So now I'm ready to paint this thing. I think I'm going to go ahead and spray the bottom with it on the benches here. You know, that way I can just roll this thing over. And matter of fact, I may spray the top that way too. That way I can spin it and get all the sides. And I've got like a half a can of gloss black, a half a can of satin, probably got a half a can of flat. So I don't know. We're just going to do. It may be a mix. Who knows? I can always spray it later. And again, I mentioned it before, but I'm really just trying to paint this thing. Mainly just, you know, because I did clean it with some paint thinner. I did wipe it down, but it's still pretty nasty. You know, it's every now and then you get a little black smudge on you. And I just want to kind of seal all that in. Let me move these over a little bit so I don't get a bunch of overspray over this away. And we'll get this thing sprayed up. See if I can get overspray all over my camera here. And I'm not going to bother to prime this thing. It'll be all right. Yeah, it'll be okay. Well, the sun's gotten so bright right here, I can't tell what I've sprayed and what I hadn't sprayed. Beautiful. Beautiful. We're just trying to slap it on here. I don't, you know. Well, I am glad the sun is out, but I keep forgetting I'm holding this camera here, so we'll have to see how much of this is actually in the shot. Alright, let's roll this baby over. Roll this baby. Just blasting it. It's probably gonna have quite a few runs in it, but it's all right. We'll let it sit out here for several days and get good and hard. And yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to get real crazy. I mean, I don't need it super thick. A little wavy right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. You know, I'm just trying to seal in the... I mean, this is going to end up getting scratched up because of the chairs and stuff. I'm just trying to seal in that nasty metal. Really all I'm doing here. I'm going to put you back over here so that I can stand this thing up. Yeah, that worked pretty good to get all the sides painted. I'm sure that's going to be loud. Oh, we got some. Probably not going to be able to see after this. I just picked up my new glasses yesterday. They're probably going to be covered in overspray. Oh, we're about to run out here. Come on. Man, this is not in the shot at all, is it? I guess I should have left this camera on the tripod. All right. Well, you know, it looks like that top is leaning like that a little bit, huh? You know, I don't know. It's possible. All right, well, there we go. I'm gonna let this thing dry. I'll probably go back to work tonight. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna let this thing, you know, get good and hard. Nice run right here. And then we'll take it down to the basement and I'll show you what it looks like with all the crap on it. So check it out. Here it is. Got a couple metal chairs. Got a couple of these rockers. If you haven't ever sat in one of these, well, the fire pit one is a little bit shorter. I actually like the freestyle better. The fire pit one actually sits a little lower, but the freestyle, if you haven't sat in one of these, you don't know what you're missing. These things are awesome. But anyways, got a couple of these. We got a couple beach chairs. These are the ones where your bottom sits right on top of the sand. Got a few more chairs I'm going to get on here. We used to use these TV trays all the time. They're all gone. It's the only one we got left, and I didn't even know we had any more, but I found it down there in the basement, so I threw it on here. But here you go. It's probably gonna be a little noisy, but I mean, it rolls super easy, and yeah. So, you know, I got a couple fold-up tables, like I said. I may add them to the side here. I got this out here because my basement is just a mess. You know, it's an unfinished basement, and that's what basements are for, is just, you know, storage and pile all your junk up. Here it is, just a quick welding project. I mean, this will be something really easy to do with like a flux core welder, you know, if you were just starting out. I mean, something like this, you know, any whatever, you know. So yeah, there's my chair storage, mobile chair storage. See you on the next one.